Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode number 3 of the Spiritual Podcast. Today we're going to talk about death, liberation, enlightenment, nirvana, nothing to do, and everything in between. I'm joined with my co-host, my good friend, Leo Armad. Welcome. Please say a few words.
Appreciate it, yeah. Thanks for having me. Just pretty late here in London, midnight. Thought I'd come on here, spit some wisdom with you. So yeah, looking forward to be here.
Both you and I didn't want to record a podcast today. I felt maybe we shouldn't do it, and you said I'd rather relax. And I thought, okay. And as time progressed, I realized I'm just passing away every day. And days are passing. I can't waste precious opportunities not doing the things that will lead to positive fruits in the future. So I'm glad we are recording this podcast. And I also watched your video that you recently uploaded to your YouTube channel. Anyone that hasn't subscribed to your YouTube channel, I'll make sure to link it below this video. And I want to talk about this briefly because I feel very strongly that there's nothing really to do. I feel like I'm just waiting to die. I have to do things in between, maintenance things and taking care of my body and this to promote myself. But, I'm not like Sadhguru doing 100 things in a day. I barely do 1 or 2 things. And I'm okay. I just kind of be, as you said in your video. So I don't really do much, I just be, and I'm not really good with the doing energy. But it sounds to me like your past history, business, and what you've accomplished, you were having a lot of doing energy. What would you say about this?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, like all my life, I've really just been on a hamster wheel, rat race, running in circles, chasing my tail. And I think that we're all conditioned to be like that. We go to school, we wake up at 7 in the morning, we eat our breakfast. We're trained from a young age to be like sheep, basically. And so I did that. I did that my whole life. I saw my dad and the way that he worked and my mom. And I repeated that same cycle. I started, in business, it started off. And I would work 12, 13, 14 hours every single day, burning myself out. I'm making good money at the same time, but not being present with my body, not being present with my emotions, doing it from a space of avoidance. And that's what most people do. Most people are constantly doing to avoid uncomfortable emotions of the body. And so, yeah, I did that until my spirit, my soul, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, wanted to give me a wake-up call. And that manifested through a number of different things. Failure in business, failure in relationships, failure with my health, just constant failures, time and time again. And each time that would happen, there would be a dissolution of the ego, an ego death, I guess you could say. And that forced me to, really slow down. And it's interesting because as I started to slow down more and more, I started to learn more about how to create the life that I want without necessarily needing to do things. And so the first time this started to happen was, I remember I was pretty much bedridden for about 6 months. I developed a bunch of I had 7 concussions in the period of 2-3 years. So I had a light sensitivity and noise sensitivity. I could barely go outside. It was just too intense. So I stayed in this pitch black room. And so I spent that whole time meditating every single day and praying and asking for guidance and clarity. And I remember that I started to learn how to manifest my desired outcome through meditation. So say, for example, if I wanted money, I would do this whole practice and I would bring money into my field. And there's a whole story into it. I can go into it if you want to hear it, but I guess that's my little intro to this whole topic.
Mhm. We'll talk about your meditation, your practice later on. I want to title this video How to Do Things Without Doing Them, because this has been such a challenge living in this body, doing things. I'm not good at doing things. I'm pretty good at just being. And I realized within myself, as you were saying this, that if I want to manifest something or if I want to change my life, I have to fundamentally change the quality of this one here. And as I do that, things naturally, miraculously line up for me and they happen. But to this doing energy, I'm thinking back of the memories of going to school, and that's just so traumatic in the right sense of the word. No kid should be getting woken up at 7 just to go to some place that you don't want to go to every day for five days out of a week. That's horrible.
I see it in my little brother. I'm like, why? Like, why do we do this to ourselves? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
And that's why I just gave up. I don't really do things anymore.
Also, something that you said I want to mention is that you said you were doing things out of the aversion of maybe not doing it. Not doing something also has consequences. And I see now in my life, as you said, that this is a big part of why I do things. Just because I can't deal with the consequence of it not being done. Not because I want to do it, per se. So, yeah, still kind of still learning how to live life, I guess, and how to do things without
I mean,
doing
it's interesting because when I see you, I feel like you do a lot. Like every day you're making videos. Every day it feels like you're doing things. So I'm curious how you would explain what your internal process is in your day to day.
Yes, I've always been the type of person to do 10x whatever is required because I know that's what's required to succeed and live well. So if something presents itself, I would just do that intensely and a lot of it. And that's worked out very well for me. But in the case of those YouTube videos, I don't really do them because I really want to do them. I like doing them and I want to do them. But a lot of the motivation is because I can't deal with the consequences of not doing them, of not having financial success and, fame and popularity, whatever little things that I want. So it's interesting to juggle this spiritual life, if you want to call it that, and maybe life in the physical world, how to bridge the gap and how to do things joyfully.
That's it, man.
So when you processed that, you said, what did you do to bring things into yourself, into your field, you said? Like bring money into your field?
Yeah. So I remember putting myself through a pretty deep initiation. At the end of this 6-month period, my business had pretty much collapsed, and I was in like around $200,000 in debt at that time. So my whole team had left me, and I had like maybe $2,000 left in my bank account, maybe 1,500, something like that. And so I was like, what do I do? It was a very traumatic experience to go through. But, as you become more and more spiritual, you become more sensitive, more in tune with what you're meant to do and when you're meant to do it, in the same way that you flew to New Zealand or Australia when you felt that call. So I felt the call to go to the US, book a ticket, one-way ticket, and just figure it out and initiate myself. And if I was going to end up homeless, I was going to end up homeless. I was like, okay, and so it is. So I booked the ticket. It's $800. I book a hotel for 3 nights, and and I go. And I remember I was like day by day just like biting my nails, like what am I gonna do? I was in deep fear, but I also had deep trust within me that I would figure it out. And I remember on the last day, I had no money. nowhere to sleep. And I remember I just burst into tears. I started crying, man. I was just crying for hours. And I go deep, deep, deep into this meditation, and it's like God is showing me these images, and it's showing me how I had based my entire self-worth and my identity on money and status. And now with nothing left, who was I? I was nobody. And so in that moment, I gave myself the love that I didn't give myself. All the love that I had was based off of external, this material world. And so
Wow.
yeah, I remember coming out of this meditation, and I checked my phone. I see a notification for a random payment come in. It was like $800. I was like, nice. I felt like I just got blessed, having done that deep work. And this repeated itself about 6 or 7 different times in the space of 2 months, where I would book a hotel for about 5 nights, 6 nights. Last night, run out of money, go into deep meditation, receive a miracle sum of money. And it would repeat again and again and again and again, until I started to become very cocky and very like confident. I was like, I can do anything. I can do anything. And so I'm not even going to go into the full details of the miracles that I started to perform during that time, but one of the highlights was meeting a shaman who comes up to me and he says, "Hey, I think I told you this story, but he said that knew me in my past life," was what he told me. And he said that we're meant to do a fast together, a 12-day water fast. And he told me I'm going to make a large sum of money on the last day. And I asked him, really, how much do you think I'm going to make? He says, $200K, $200,000. I was like, get out of here, man. You're talking shit. And so I was like, I said, what do we need to do? I said, listen, I'm down. Let's do it. And I booked an Airbnb actually for us to live in Mexico for about a week. The plan was that we stayed together for a month. I only had enough money for a week, so I booked it for a week, trusting that I'd have enough to maintain the full month. And yeah, he's showing me these crazy practices in India. Like we're doing kriyas every day, and we're doing breath work, and we're doing all these like practices that he learned from these like Indian gurus. And yeah, we're also holding that number, that frequency, this 200. And I remember literally on the last day, 2 old clients randomly reached out to me. One of them moved forward on a deal, $128,000, and the second one moved forward on a deal for $96,000. So it was just over $220,000 that had arrived within the space of 24 hours. And I was like, bro, you can't make this up.
Wow, that's a story. That's significant. I've also noticed that in times of great intensity, and when you're at the lowest and you cry a lot, especially, that's a bonus points the universe gives you. When you cry a lot, and after you've done, the universe kind of goes, okay, you've kind of earned the next thing, or you're rewarded in some way. Notice that a lot. Sometimes I'd be crying so intensely, and then after I'm done, something miraculous happens, or something magical happens, or I have deep insight into my life. So
imagine if that was a part of the teaching, like you want to make money, cry. Cry to make money. I could probably see Andrew Tate speaking about that, crying and making money.
Wow. And this trust, can be misconstrued. Some people may think, maybe a small percentage of people listening to this may think, okay, I should just trust and go buy a 7 Seasons hotel and, just live there and hopefully things work out for the best. Probably not. But if you are on this mission and if you are called to do things like this, things are happening like this to me, then it basically always works out, because the universe is a special game that we're playing here. It's a conscious, living, breathing entity, and it cares about you. and it cares that you evolve, and as you evolve, so many beings and forces of the universe and the existence want to help you. Angels and different ancestors and beings and nature, trees, and the universe itself, God, and whatever else that's special. So I want to bring this back to this topic that we started this video with, because this is the most righteous topic that we could talk about. Not money, of course, and not trust or even the universe, but death itself. The ending of one's life. Now, obviously, to preface this, we don't want you to do this. Hopefully you live a very long time, and I bless you. Live at least 84, everyone listening to this. Yet still, after that, you are going to have to say goodbye to everything here. And even though certain special things have happened to me, my mind and spiritual growth and progress have been made, still this one thing that hasn't happened yet, and it's the most important thing on this earth, is somewhat bothering me. That I have to confront this, I have to go into this space, this will happen. Why does this happen? Why does it have to be this way? Why can't it just happen now? Why do I have to live through this life and then have it end? And and what's to come is for maybe a little bit later. So I want to hear your thoughts on this, because you have some experience with this subject.
Yeah.
Death.
I remember watching your video on Mahasamadhi. This is a long time ago, and I was like, man, I deeply resonate with that. It's like, when you're ready and you fulfilled what you needed to do, it's like, what more is there to do here? You've served your time. And so, I feel like my journey to dance with death, to be honest, becoming intimate with death and not making it wrong. And so, I guess there's a deep peace that's arrived when I think about death. I'm not really opposed to it in the same way. Life and death to me is the same thing. There is no separation between it. I'm just I think the funny thing is as well, like after you attain enlightenment or self-realization, it's almost like you've died, to be honest.
Yes.
It's already happened. There's no self anymore. There's no person. It's just like you're just a being. I feel like I'm permanently observing this physical body, just like moving through life and doing what it does. So I'd say, that's been my experience recently.
So let's talk about this topic of Mahasamadhi and this graceful leaving. So for everyone that doesn't know, Mahasamadhi is when you consciously exit, as well as it's a kind of extinguishing of your consciousness. Like there's a candle burning right here. If I were to take my wet fingers and put out the flame, the fire doesn't go anywhere. The fire just doesn't have the conditions met to keep it going. Similarly, when the fuel for this person, this being, burns up, that's it. It's an extinguishment. There's no more experience. There's no more coming back to any state of being. It's just, I don't know how else to logically describe it. It's not possible to logically describe it, but it's an ending of one's existence in the ultimate sense. And I want to mention this now because my conditions right now on Earth, I'm living in India, and my sleep schedule is totally flipped. So this is like 5 or 6 a.m. now. I haven't slept. This is how it is, so it's not optimal for a human being. And also I ate some things that made me sick, like with the flu, and have a little bit of a fever and cough and runny nose. So all these things pressed together, they make me question like why I'm living here and why this is happening. It's not pleasant, potential of, so it's dangerous to be alive, to be here, and lots of pain is experienced. So I'll kind of end it with this quote by Sadhguru that he says that if you're in pain or if you're in misery or if you're feeling down, you're going to be asking yourself, why am I here? Why is this happening? Why? But if you're ecstatic and if you're dripping ecstasy, you're not going to ask these things. That's because the point of life is this, is ecstasy. So what I want to ask you is, do you think the point of life is ecstasy? Or what do you think the point of life is?
Definitely not.
Uh-huh.
I
Okay.
believe that um, surrender to what is, and acceptance of what is. And the nature of being human is the roller coaster. It is the feeling and experiencing of all emotions, the anger, the sadness, the happiness, the joy, all of it. And from my experience being in the spiritual space, I see that there are people that try to avoid the human experience. They try to bypass it. And so they only want to be in ecstasy. And, you know, the same thing happened for me. Even 6 months ago, I was sitting in my room in bliss 24/7. And on occasion, fall offs, periods of downtime. But for about 2 months, it was mostly bliss and ecstasy. And then I realized actually I was avoiding life. I was spending all my days in my room. I wasn't going outside because the moment I would go outside, the ecstasy would dissipate.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it was just pure avoidance. Yeah.
So I want to bring back to some things that you said previously about your decision to go towards making money and the businesses that you've made and the sum of money that you made. I'm curious, what made you go into this direction? What was your motivation? What was your fuel to go and achieve all of these things? And how did you achieve them?
Mm. You mean all those years ago, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess it really started when I was 19 years old. I was still, I mean, I was all my life trying to make money from the time I was 13, 12. Main reason was because my dad didn't want to like give me money for things when I wanted to buy things for myself. So I was like, I'm going to prove to him that I can make money myself. Like I don't need him was basically the energy.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would go in my room and I'd learn how to make money online. And you know, I started making money by playing video games. I don't know if you ever played a game called RuneScape when you was younger,
Yes.
but I used to play that game all the time, man. And I found out that I could actually make money by selling virtual currency for real life money.
Mm.
And so that's when I started to get super creative, and I built a little business in the game. And I would exchange currencies from the new server to the old server, and I'd make a commission on every exchange. And so I remember the first time a new server got launched, I made like $800 in a week. And I was like, what the hell? Like, this is crazy, man. I was 16 years old.
Oh.
And so, yeah, I guess that was like the first time. And then I remember, crazy story, but I lost about $20,000, just over 46 Bitcoins when I was 17. And yeah, it ruined me, crushed my life. So I ended up going down a path of avoidance. I started doing drugs with homeless people in central London. I was sleeping in skate parks and doing all kinds of silly stuff.
Oh.
And yeah, I went super downhill and got to a point where I realized this isn't my life. This shouldn't be my life anymore. I'm going to try and make a change. And at 19, had a big wake up call, and I decided to start a business again, start making money online. So there was this deep fuel of trying to the suffering that I had experienced before.
Mm.
That was the main fuel.
Wow. So what is your motivation now if you're not running away from pain or not doing things because, out of aversion? what's your motivation for keeping on going and doing the things that you're doing?
Yeah, great question. First few, I guess, 6 months ago, there was no desire to make money. Obviously, I'd given away my business, turned down all the money that I was offered, and I just pretty much sat around and just waited. I was like, there's nothing to do, nowhere to go. I'm just going to sit and be. Until I realized that it started to get boring. And I was like, actually, I think it'll be fun to do something. It'll be fun to make money again. So, all right, let me get back in the game. And I started building a little team from scratch. And yeah, now it's like this is my hard boundary of my team. It's a very lean team now, very small. I used to have like up to 30 people. Now it's like four of us basically. And when I speak to them, I say, look, if we're not having joy, we're wasting time. If we're not treating this like we're playing a game or we're playing RuneScape, we're wasting time. So I don't see it like an average businessman that's hustling and grinding and stressing out. It's like we log on and we have fun and we chill and we work when we want to work. If we don't want to work, we don't work. And when we come from this energy, we're always working. So yeah, it's just a game to me now.
And do you have any thoughts as to some perspectives on money that you think most people don't have, considering your experience of earning money from a young age and having this be your expertise in some ways? What are some unique ways you look at money, maybe that you can share with the public?
I think the biggest thing is don't become a slave to money. And when I say that, I mean don't sacrifice your values or your integrity for the sake of making money. And so I believe that every person should become clear on what is it that they value. Maybe it is family, maybe it is physical health, maybe it is whatever it may be. And make that be your hard boundary. Because nowadays, if I look in society, I see how many people have sold their soul to make money. You'll see countless OnlyFans models, women that are selling themselves online for the sake of money. You'll see rappers and actors and whatnot doing, homosexual acts to make money. You see all kinds of crazy things now. We're living in end times, if you ask me. And so the one advice I would give to anyone is like, be super clear on who you are and what you're about, what you value, and learn how to say no if it is out of alignment with your values.
Absolutely. Yes, that's very sad that many people have to do things just because to earn money. Maybe they feel like they have to do something. Unfortunately, I was that way in my earlier years, doing jobs like this. Have you been doing jobs or doing things for money that you knew you shouldn't do or didn't want to do, but just it was a paycheck?
Yeah, I mean, 5 years ago, I had maybe 4 years ago, I had an OnlyFans marketing agency. So we would basically bring on women and help them sell their pictures. And yeah, that felt like a business that was out of integrity. And I ended up giving it up, actually. I helped entrepreneurs that just wanted to flex online and just show off their wealth. I took on a bunch of people, even clients that were disrespectful to me and my team. I still kept them on for the sake of the money. I would never do anything like that again. My how I feel was more important than any number.
Yes. Okay. Well, I want to keep this video short and sweet. It's been 30 minutes now, 29 minutes. So thank you very much to the viewers that are watching this. Please like the video. Go subscribe to Leo's channel. Carlos isn't here today. He's working. And yeah, final words with you, Leo.
Yeah, appreciate you having me, and looking forward to.
Yes, take care. Bye.